Hi there, and welcome to Draw With Me. I'm your host, Marty Feldman, and I'm glad to be here to join you yet again. Um, so, I'm actually Danny Gregory, but you just saw a cavalcade of Martin Feldmans strutting across your screen. That's from last week when we drew the comic genius on his birthday. So, today we're going to be drawing something I think equally important and powerful and funny and strange and beautiful, which is ourselves. Wait, don't leave. Yes, we're going to be drawing self-portraits today, but it's okay. I will make it okay. Don't say, oh, I look terrible. Don't say, oh, I can't draw people. Don't say, I can't draw. Just don't. All right? Be patient. It's going to be fun. We're going to get to it in a minute. But first of all, I wanted to tell you a few things about what is coming up today, later today, something that I want you to be part of, and also what is coming up this weekend. So today, let's go to today. Today, Q and Art Live. I don't know if you've ever been exposed to the global phenomenon that is Q and Art Live. Q and Art Live is a free 90-minute webinar that we do once a month on different subjects. And we bring up some subject that we're all curious about, and we bring in some experts and we say, give us the deal. What is the story about X? Answer our questions. Help us figure this out. And I don't know, and I think many other people come away from this being much smarter about their art supplies, much more informed. And it's amazing how little we often know about this stuff. Even if you went to art school, they may not have taught you, for instance, how brushes are made and why that's important. Well, we're going to learn that tonight at Q and Art Live Brushes. We've got two experts who are coming in from Winsor Newton, and we have our own David Pyle who's going to be joining. Who's going to be joining us, and we're going to be also doing a giveaway. We're going to be giving away some beautiful Winsor Newton brushes. They make the best brushes there are, and we're going to be handing them out to some people, including you, hopefully, if you're there. So if you want to join us, sign up. All the details for where to sign up are down below in the description of this post. If you're seeing it on YouTube or on Facebook, that's where it is. Just go there, click, sign up for it. It's free, no obligation, no nothing. Just come and spend 90 minutes. And if you can't make it for some reason, again, it's at 5 p.m. Pacific tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm not sure what time it is in your time zone. But if you can't make it, sign up anyway, because then you will get a recording of the entire event, and you can watch it at your own schedule. But if you come to it live, you can ask questions, and we'll answer those questions, or the experts will. So that is important and something you should do. What else? The other else is that's tonight, and then this is this weekend. So I've told you about this a couple of times before, but I want to re-emphasize how great it's going to be. Our first ever 2-day watercolor workshop. It's all about plein air painting, and it's filmed in the beautiful mountains of Colorado on a horse farm or of a horse farm. And you are going to learn so many important things about painting outdoors, but also about using watercolors in general. And you're going to be taught them by my friend David Pyle, who's going to join me right here. David, here he is. All right, David Pyle. Let me just turn up your volume. There you go. Nice to see you.
It is so nice to be here. Nice to see you too.
Yes. So, David, tell us what is this workshop going to be like? 2 days live online. It sounds amazing. What's it going to be like?
So 2 days just packed with fun and frolic. So okay, so maybe that's a bit bombastic, but I just love doing this stuff, and I love doing these programs and the workshops and all the opportunities to connect with people throughout this community. So what a privilege to have a chance to do this workshop. I'm not answering your question, am I?
You really
So
are.
let me answer the question.
So it's going to be 2 days long. First of all, what are we going to have accomplished at the end of it? Let's start there.
So I think you can look at it in two different ways. You can say, well, I'm going to do a painting like David, or I'm going to come away from this with a strong sense as to how I can develop my own sensibilities around painting outdoors. How do I develop my tools? How do I approach it in a way with a kind of open spirit and the kind of courage and guts that it takes to be able to do it with, again, well, fun and frolic maybe isn't too bombastic. So I would suggest, and my hope is that what you're going to come away with is this second. I really don't care whether or not you end up doing a painting like me, but I'm going to be really happy if those of you who attend come away feeling that you can then go outdoors, you can gather your tools, you can approach this with an adventurous spirit and just enjoy the process in a way that perhaps you never thought that you could. That's the objective for me.
Yeah, I mean, you're an incredible teacher, and we've all experienced you teaching watercolor magic when you did your last workshop. And for those who are lucky enough to be members of Spark, we've had you as running our Art Geek sessions. You did one this week. You know an enormous amount about all aspects of art supplies, but particularly as a watercolorist, you've been a watercolorist for a long time. It's something you really understand. And plein air, it's a fancy name for basically painting outdoors, but it is something, I think the elements that we learn in plein air are basically the crucial things about watercolor boiled down into a kit that you can take with you anywhere. In the studio,
Absolutely.
You might be able to stretch out and have all this stuff, but when it comes to plein air, that's the essentials, right? That's what really matters.
Yeah, and the way that this workshop is structured is we'll start out talking about those materials in that kit. What is essential? What do you need? How do you need to approach that? And I've put that together based on the fact that I've been doing this now for 40 years, going into environments all over the world, and I've arrived at a solution that works well for me that's compact. And then we're going to talk about how do you select a location? How do you select a subject? What do you need to be watching for? What do you need to be watching for as the sun is going to move during the course of your painting session? Is it going to rain? Is it going to get windy? Well, maybe, but you can deal with that. And how do you deal with it? So then setting up the composition, what kind of colors that you want to use, and then how do you build a painting from the ground up? The ground being the painting surface itself, and starting with the composition, how do you layer colors and take advantage of this in a way that really is reflective of the experience of being outdoors as opposed to just doing something by rote. This is so different than working from a photograph. And I think, I believe in my paintings and in other people's paintings that I've seen who work outdoors, you can feel the immediacy, the joy that comes with working outdoors. And that's what I want to make certain that we provide you with the tools and the techniques and the preparation to get there, and then the spirit, this frame of mind that comes with that.
Right, that's really essential. So here's the details. This long, elaborate URL. Basically, go to sketchbookschool.com and look at the workshops. You can find it, all the information also down below. Not a lot of time left. The workshop is this weekend. You're kind of even late, perhaps, to get all your supplies. But you can also, when you sign up for this workshop, several amazing things happen. You're, of course, invited to the 2-day things. It's 3-hour sessions. But also, you're going to get the recordings of all the sessions. So if you can't make it for some reason this weekend, or if you haven't gotten your supplies yet, don't worry about it. You will have lifetime access to these recordings, and you can come back and watch it again and again and take notes. But you don't actually need to take notes, because David has also created an incredible document that comes with this workshop, which is his notes, basically, right? All the notes that you took in putting this together, explaining it all. So you'll have this, is it a 25-page PDF that comes with this that tells you everything you're going to need to know, a great resource to have and to come back to. So there's lots and lots of reasons to do this, and it's going to be really fun. And David's going to be there live. I'm going to be there live. We're going to be answering your questions, and there's going to be a lot to learn. And also, David's going to be here tonight, joining me for the Winsor Newton sponsored Q&R brushes event tonight, where we're going to learn. I mean, David has already taught us a lot about brushes, but we're going to learn even more from the people who actually make them, and from an artist who also uses them, and is fantastic. So it's going to be a lot of fun, don't you think, David?
Absolutely. Yeah, should be a blast.
Yeah, so again, sign up for both of these events. You can find out the details below, and we will see David this evening, and I'll see all of you then. David, thanks a lot. I'll see you in a few hours. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right, so there's that plein air watercolor and Q&R live. So, all right, so that's what I wanted to talk about in terms of announcements. But while you're doing that, I want you to get ready to do something that I used to do quite often, but I haven't done on Draw With Me for a while, which is to draw a self-portrait. And you're welcome to watch me draw my self-portrait, but this is something that I do on a regular basis and have really since I started drawing. I think that the art of the self-portrait is really, in many ways, the most important kind of drawing that I do, because it delivers a lot of the things that I love about making art, which is certainly, it's a bit of a technical challenge. It's drawing a portrait of a person. It's a face, and if you're not that comfortable with doing that, it's a great way to practice, because you're not going to offend yourself probably. What? My nose isn't that big. Wait, my eyes are on akimbo like that. Whatever it is, you don't have to worry about offending anybody else, because you're there. You're free. You're available. You have nothing else to do while you're drawing except have a face. So it's a great way to get used to drawing people. Absolutely no question about that. It's also a really interesting document, a way of learning about how you look, and looking at yourself and saying, okay, this is what I look like on this particular day. And over time, I have drawings of myself going back 20 years. And when I was youthful and unwrinkled and I had a full head of blonde hair. All these things that went on with me in the past are now a record in my sketchbook. All right, that's perhaps not the main reason to do it. The main reason to do it is because when you make art about yourself, you're making a self-portrait on two levels. On the one level, it's a drawing of you and what you look like now. But on another level, it's a drawing of who you are and how you feel as an artist when you're making this drawing. When I make drawings of myself, I can make 3 or 4 drawings in a sitting. So I look essentially exactly the same, right? I haven't aged, I'm wearing the same clothes, the lighting conditions are the same, but these drawings can be completely different. Why? Why is that? It's because I'm going through changes. My mind, my moods, my emotions are all changing all the time. And those feelings are being expressed in the drawing that you're making. And that's really important, because that's ultimately where we want to get to as artists. We want to be able to express ourselves, not just to manage the technical aspects of, can I create a recognizable portrait, a rendering of whatever it is that I'm drawing. That's something that will come. I promise you, it will come just by practicing. You will learn to observe better. You will learn to record your observations better. But what's really important in art making is to convey your point of view about the world. And no matter what it is you're drawing, you feel something about the subject. You feel something in your moment, in this moment as a human being, you feel something. And all those things can't help but come out. But you need to be able to loosen up. You need to be able to stop worrying about the technical parts of it, so that you can just express, emote, feel, be here in the moment, and put it all down on paper. You have to open the spigots that allow your self-expression to come out. And if you're constantly wrangling and fighting with that inner critic that's saying, man, it doesn't really look like that, well, the eyes aren't right, man, blah, blah, that's going to get in the way. That's a dialogue that you don't need to have. So the only way to suppress that dialogue is to feel comfortable, to feel confident, and that takes time. So if right now you're saying to yourself, there's no way I'm drawing myself. What is this guy talking about? In fact, I'm going to go and look at something else on YouTube. There's nothing I can say about that. But what I can say is, give it a shot. Try drawing yourself. You can draw yourself in a very simple way. Make a caricature of yourself, whatever it is you want to do. Have fun. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have fun. I never know what the hell these things are going to come out looking like. I never know. But that's the fun of it, is to find out. So I hope you'll work along with me. All you need is, if you have a mirror, great. If you don't have a mirror, take out your phone. You're on your computer, open a separate window with your camera on, however it is you want to do it. If you want to, take a picture. I personally think it's better to not take a picture, but to just do it live. To do it at this moment, to express yourself. Samantha asks, what is it that makes faces so difficult to draw? Specificity. If you think about it, we all have the same small number of features, and yet all of our faces are different. So if you get one of the features slightly wrong, it's not that it's a bad drawing, it's that it looks like somebody else than the person that you're drawing. If you make the nose slightly too long, so you can get all caught up in that. And I think one of the things that we want to do when we draw portraits is to think about the essentials. Think about caricatures, right? Caricatures don't actually look like the person they're drawing, but they've taken certain features and they've said, what is the essential thing about this person? People draw me quite a lot. I often get flattering and perhaps not so flattering portraits sent to me of me. And, it's interesting to see, like, what is it that people thought about me when they saw me? What is it that I see about me? I might say, like, well, my hair, or I might say my glasses, or I might say the shape of my face. There's lots of different things. So what we want to do is to kind of start thinking about the essentials, and we want to not overthink it, but just kind of feel like, what is it about this person that makes them this person? That's part of what goes on in doing that. So, because even if you exaggerate the things, you will still come to a likeness. All right, Kruttikesh Patel. Are you drawing Kruttikesh? But you're right. I should start drawing and stop blathering. But I like to talk too. They should be calling this "Listen to Me" and draw on your own. But anyway, that's not what we're calling it. We're calling it "Draw with Me" because we're going to draw with me. Okay, so I'm going to be using this Hahnemühle watercolor book. I like this book a lot, and in fact, I want to give it to you. At the end of this thing, at the end of the program, I'm going to tell you how I can give you this watercolor book. I'm going to give somebody a watercolor book. I'm also going to give them some of my art supplies. I have a bunch of stuff that I got from Winsor Newton that I'm going to be using, and I want to share that with you, and I'll tell you later on how to get it. All right. Fru Vonnerheit is giving me permission to carry on talking, but I won't. I'll do both. Okay, so here we have the watercolor book. I actually have one that I've started. And, here's the thing. A lot of times I give away the watercolor. I give away the paper or the book or the pad that I draw on today. I may not do that. But instead what I'll do is if I send you this, I will help you to overcome the fear of a new sketchbook by starting it off for you. So I'll do a drawing for you. It may or may not be the one I do today. We'll see. Let me think about that. But I've already started this one. I kind of like it, so I'm going to keep working on it. Because here's what I'm thinking. This is what inspired me today also. It's been a while since I did this, but I've kept sketchbooks that are just for self-portraits, like a diary of selfies. And I think that's what I'm going to probably turn this one into. Here's one I did yesterday. I drew this last night. It's in pencil and watercolor. I got a new pair of glasses, not the ones I'm wearing. They're green, and I was testing them out. I looked a little sour yesterday evening, but yes. But I like this. This paper is really nice. It's watercolor paper. It's in a really nice sketchbook. It is. I don't know. It's good. It's good paper. It's good paper. It's good paper for this new way that I've been working, which is working in pencil. Pencil is not something that I am known for, whatever the hell that means. Something I work with a lot, but I like these Winsor Newton colored pencils. They're really creamy, and that's what I like about them. So I think I'm going to pick a color. I drew that in brown. I think maybe I'll draw it in green. See, what do I feel like today? Again, this is going back to like, how do I feel today? I feel a little green. I'll be honest with you. I feel a little green. So I'm going to pick a green. I didn't sleep terribly well last night. I had a lot of things on my mind. We have a lot of stuff that I'm excited about. And so this morning I have had to over-caffeinate, which, we'll see. So maybe feeling a bit green is the way to go. All right, so let me straighten myself up so I can see me. And Kosha, good point. Kosha says, it's true. Is it better than feeling blue? I guess it depends if I was seasicking. Okay. And Banger has a very good point, which is no need to remove one's ear. I might not end up drawing my ear, but let's see. Let's see what happens. So yes, so hopefully you're going to start along with me. You're going to draw yourself. Kosha, I know you're going to be doing yourself because you are an avid self-portraitista. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to talk very much while I'm doing this particular thing. But yeah, this is often the way I seem to do it. I start to start by doing sort of the outline, a contour of the basic shape of my head. Need a haircut. I might get one this weekend. Glasses are kind of a helpful thing when you're doing a portrait or a selfie, because they're sort of a shape within your face, and they're a frame for certain parts of your face, so they help you to, but they help you, they put a frame around your eyes, around a certain part of your face, so they're good drawing aid, as it were. All right. Good day, Michael. Nice to see you. Or not see you. But to have you here, all the way from Australia, my former homeland, sort of. I'm doing some horrible things to this ear, but I don't really care. It's fine. And then, of course, I have these sort of neck things that I've developed of late. Yes, one of the many joys of aging. Look, what happens to our necks? What the hell? Yeah, so see what I'm saying about my glasses and my eyes is the glasses sort of show me where my eyes sit in the glasses, where they sit in my face. A little bit hidden because I'm looking down as I draw this. Glasses are also somewhat distorting because they're lenses, so they are making things look a bit different. All right, so that's basically where my features sit, but right now it doesn't feel like much, this drawing. Not erasing. See, I screwed up this whole area around here. I don't care. Doesn't really matter. Usually I can draw my ears quite well. For some reason, not today. Yeah, I'm getting more and more wrinkles in my forehead. Something I associate with like older relatives in my family. sure you've had that experience where you're drawing yourself and you go, oh my God, I have my great uncle's forehead, or I have my grandfather's nostrils. Things about yourself that you may not notice, because a lot of times when we look at ourselves in the mirror, what do we say? We go like, I look all right. Or, oh, do I need to pluck that? Or, those kinds of things. Like we're always sort of assessing ourselves, judging ourselves, like we're judging like, oh God, look at that. Or, try not to get into that too much right now. You look like whatever you look like, but yeah, see, I made some choices about the shapes of this glasses that have kind of determined a lot of the things that are going on in this face. So, yeah. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slather on some watercolor. And let me pull out my brushes. I think I'm going to start with a nice big fat one. Actually, I'm going to start with this. Sketchbook School brand coffee. So how do I feel today? I think let's get into some green, see what happens. The thing that I planned to do and actually didn't do really was I wanted to vary the lighting. I wanted to have a bit more extreme lighting than I have, so that I could have some shadows, some modeling on my face. I don't really have that much, so it makes it slightly less interesting. But I can also exaggerate it a bit. Oh, I forgot. I forgot that I was doing this. I forgot that I was doing this live with you. God, it's so easy to get like totally lost down a rabbit hole. And I was like, oh yeah, wait a minute. Am I forgetting something? Yes, I'm forgetting you, but maybe you're lost in it too. Maybe you're like, you know what? I wasn't even paying attention to you, Gregory. I'm just doing my own thing. Maybe. How often do we think about ourselves in this kind of a way? Not just our appearance, but how often do you think, like, how do I feel about me? Am I the way I want to be, or am I observing things about me that are sort of interesting, or um, like I had this thing. I think I talked to you about it a couple of weeks ago, where I had this feeling in my body of anxiety. It was just a feeling, like a gut tension, and I was walking around with this feeling. And it was only when I really stopped and thought about what was going on. What I tried to kind of go through different thoughts, and as I went through different thoughts, I was able to sort of zero in on my feeling and understand it better, and by understanding it better, I was able to ease it because I was like, okay, this is why I'm feeling this way. And then I was able to do something about it, whereas I had been just kind of walking around with this feeling of ill ease. And I gotta change brushes. That's part of my problem here. I'm using this huge, like, house painting size brush. Let me go to this one. No, this is very tiny. Let's see. This is I'm using these Winsor Newton synthetic brushes. At first I was like, oh, really, synthetic brushes? But I actually really am finding that they're great. They're not in any way making me hesitate the way synthetic brushes used to. I used to really, really be repelled by the feeling of synthetic brushes. That they're too springy. They're too eager in some ways. Whereas when you have a natural, like a sable brush, it always felt like, okay, this is a natural thing. It has a life of its own, but it's controllable, but it's also really expressive. But I'm finding that that's kind of how I'm feeling with this stuff now. It's like, it's kind of getting there. It's feeling like they're making really good progress. We'll talk about that tonight, by the way, in this brushes thing, because these guys are going to explain like what actually are brushes made out of. It's kind of fascinating. It's a thing you don't really think about. How do they actually make them? What are they actually thinking about when they make them? And what should I be thinking about when I use them? I think it's like a lot of things. When you know a bit, it can make things a lot easier to make decisions. Like, you don't have to fully understand every part of your car to be able to drive it, but you certainly can feel more in control of it if you understand the basics, right? And you go, okay, I get why this is sort of doing this thing. And if there's a noise or there's something you want to accomplish, if you say, well, can I drive on ice? Can I make it up this hill? All those kinds of things. The more you understand about your car, the easier it is to accomplish the things you want to do. And similarly, I think that's true of art supplies. I'm always fascinated when I talk to somebody who knows a lot, like David, about how many things I just never understood. As I said before, I don't know that they teach you this stuff in art school. Really, the details. I think they don't necessarily, and I didn't go to art school, so what do I know? But they don't know that they necessarily tell you all these specifics about materials, how they're made. I mean, I think we've all had that feeling when you go into an art supply store and they have like a whole wall of brushes, right? That's what they do. They have a wall of brushes, and you look at them and you go, oh, all right, I guess I'll buy the cheap one. You don't even really know. You don't even know, and you don't know what's the difference between these different shapes. What's the difference between these different materials? Like, why would I use this shape versus that shape? What's the difference between a 6 and a 7, for instance? Some of it's kind of obvious. Like, I want a big brush for doing big things, but I think when you watch somebody who really knows what they're doing, they're able to do stuff, and you go, oh, that's how you do that? You need that particular brush. Oh, of course. That totally makes sense. But I'd never known that. How would I know that? Because you can sort of experiment with stuff to some extent. That's how we self-taught artists learn things, is by just trying stuff. But a lot of times there are other things involved, and you go, oh, the reason I can't do this is because I suck. Oh, yeah, that's the reason. But it's not. It's because you're not using the right materials in the right way. That's all that it really is. So if you could learn about that, maybe it would be okay. How's your drawing coming? Does it look like you? Does it feel like you, more importantly? Does mine feel like me? Does a bit. Seems a little far away right now. My drawing, it looks like I'm thinking about stuff. I'm lost in thought a bit, not fully engaged in the present. I think that's a little bit about how I feel today. Yeah, who said this interesting thing? Arlene says, every time I do self-portrait, it reveals a totally different person. Yeah. We contain multitudes, as Walt Whitman said. We are lots of different things. And this is one way we find out about them. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to put yourself under the microscope. Nobody needs to know. Nobody needs to know, you know. Why did Van Gogh do all the self-portraits that he did? Partly because he was too poor to afford a lot of models, but I don't think that's the only reason. I think it's because he felt safe doing this experimentation with himself, but also a lot of stuff was going on with him, and he was wondering about himself. I've got to believe that. You know, and in the history of art, like, we're not that familiar with there's obviously people like Rembrandt did a lot of self-portraits, but self-portraits, if an artist did a self-portrait, you know, before the sort of era of commercial galleries, people didn't necessarily want to spend a lot of money on some portrait of some artist, you know. They wanted portraits of themselves or of, you know, religious icons or whatever. So my feeling is that a lot of artists probably didn't bother doing them because they couldn't sell them, and they also didn't do them because, you know, they had to focus on, they didn't want to use precious art supplies on something that was not commercial. So, but we're not like that. We don't have to worry about those things. What does this other collar of mine look like? Okay. I think it's also in the history of art, self-expression was not a commercial ambition of art. People weren't really interested in, like, what does an artist think or feel? You know, that's a modern idea, and so that's why we see more and more of it. So it's practical. It's practical why there is or isn't self-portraiture done, and it's also about trends in art. So Sorabai wishes he could draw and paint like Van Gogh. Well, Van Gogh in 10 years did 1,000 paintings, more or less, I think. Have you done 1,000 paintings in the last 10 years, Sorabai? Get to work. Van Gogh, you can look at his work and you can see how an artist progresses, because he made enormous changes over the years as he learned about painting. And he worked very hard to be as good at what he does as he did. A lot of people didn't think he was that good at the time, as you know. But he's certainly a great person to study and to learn from. And he's also a person who you can learn from. You can look, you can copy what he does, and you can then do your own versions of what he does, and learn a huge amount. Jen brings up Egon Schiele. Egon Schiele, he was, he's one of my favorites too. And he did lots of really interesting things with his body where he would distort and contort his body. It was almost hard to understand how he even did it. Like, how did he paint those things? Because I don't think he was necessarily like snapping photographs of himself and using them, but he would like distort himself in all these kind of weird ways with his hands and stuff like that. And really emotional stuff that he did in his painting self-portraits. He's another person who's really worth looking at. Anna. Excellent. I'm proud of you. That's fantastic that you tried it and that you are happy with the result. That's what it's all about. It's also about trying it and not feeling happy with the result. That's part of it, Stella says, I don't look like me, but I've captured the mood of me. Yeah. Maybe you do look like you. Maybe you'll notice it. Maybe, if you flip through a sketchbook like this that you did years from now, you'll say, oh, that is me. Oh yeah, I remember when I felt like that. It was at the end of the pandemic. Oh my God. Remember what we felt like? That's a great record, right? Think about that. I mean, a museum might want that self-portrait of you someday and say, yes, look, this is how artists felt in those days. This is how people were feeling. How else are we going to know how people were feeling? Because of their stupid YouTube videos where they talk about how they felt? I don't mean stupid, but you know what I mean. How do we get our real feelings onto the record? And not necessarily museum records, but our own records for ourselves. How do we say, this is how I felt right now? I want to look back on it. I want to remember this, good or bad, right? Sometimes we want to remember good feelings, but we also want to remember the challenges, because when we don't feel great and then we feel better afterwards, it's a reminder to ourselves, like, yeah, I survived that crappy feeling. I can do it. So this is part of what this is. Fru, okay. Fru has done it first. It's not so easy. Well, why? What? Why would it be easy? It's the first time you've done it. Of course, it's a bit of a challenge, but yeah, that's right. It's true. Van Gogh did start painting it. He went to art school for about a month, and then he got kicked out. So he just worked and worked and worked at it, and that's how he got to where he is. So, Melissa added watercolor too much. Don't like mine anymore. Melissa, that's okay too, because honestly, part of this process is learning. So before you added too much watercolor, you didn't know what that would do. Now you know. You spent 15 minutes learning this lesson. It's a valuable lesson. You can sit down and do another self-portrait right away. And this time do it differently. The more mistakes you make, the more lessons you learn. That's the great thing about teaching yourself stuff, is you're not learning from other people's experiences, which you might in a book or in a textbook or something like that. You're learning from your own. And those are the lessons that stick with you. Those are the ones that are hardwired into you. Go, oh, okay. I tried that once before. You just don't want to repeat your mistakes over and over and over again. Ideally, you want to move on beyond them. But if you don't feel willing to make mistakes, you're not going to make progress. If you're disappointed that you didn't reach perfection right away, which is completely unreasonable, if you don't feel like you are okay with making a mistake, do a bit of self-examination. Say to yourself, why am I so afraid to screw up? What's going on? Because in all things, whether it's learning to walk when you were a year and a half old to, anything you ever learned in life, it all comes from being tested, pushing yourself into new and unfamiliar terrain, screwing up, picking yourself back up and carrying on. So you should embrace mistakes. You should embrace these things and say, okay, this is great. I learned something. And think about what you actually learned. Don't just go, oh, that's terrible. That's not a conclusion. What you have to say is like, why? And in my case, I initially was saying, oh, I don't like that these glasses seem to be in a weird shape. These glasses aren't quite right. One of them is, look, this one is higher than that one. All those kinds of things. So I could say to myself, okay, next time I do this, I should really think about the glasses shape. I should really spend some time looking at them. But now as I look at my face, I say, you know what? This does look higher than this because of the angle of my face. Actually, I was right. This does come down a little bit lower. You see? So I learned that I hadn't actually made a mistake, which is an interesting thing to do. I could also say my face is a bit narrower than it really is. But that was part of my self-expression, I think. A long face. Why the long face? So yes, these are all things that go on in the process of learning. And here's another thing I'll tell you. We have this impression that like you go to art school, you graduate in 4 years, or you go into grad school, whatever it is, that you've somehow learned and now you're an artist. It's not true. You never stop learning. You never stop making mistakes, trying out new things, going to new places. If you do feel like you've reached a plateau and you know it all, I don't think your work is going to be very successful. I think it's through these mistakes, through these experiments that we progress. So get used to the idea that you're never going to be all the way educated. You're always going to be trying stuff out. And you look at all of the great artists, that's what they're doing. The ones who freeze they tend to be very commercial. If you're a cartoonist, or if you're an illustrator, or if you draw a very particular make a very particular kind of painting, and people expect you to do that. Oh, I don't want you experimenting. I wanted to buy, a thing, and I want it to be the certain way. Yeah, cookie cutter stuff, and after a while you can hand it off to an assistant and they can do the work for you. But I think the artists who really matter are the ones who are constantly expressing themselves as they change. And they're finding new ways to capture that expression, to capture those experiences, to capture the changes in themselves. And that takes new techniques. It might take new materials. It's just new ways of saying, like, how do I capture this part of my experience and convey it out there? If I know immediately how to do it, I'm going to become like one of those actors as like a character actor who always plays like a certain kind of, character in a movie. But that's not what you want to do. You want to be, able to try lots of different roles and try lots of different things. And that's what this is all about. So, all right. So however yours came out, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep doing this. Not today because I have to go, but in general, let's keep experimenting, keep drawing self-portraits. Maybe do what I'm doing. Look at that. Look at that versus that. Kind of crazy, right? This I did 12 hours ago. That's how I was 12 hours ago. This is how I am today. Right? That's how I was 2 weeks ago. Yeah? That's how it is. Catherine, maybe you do look a bit like a monkey. I'm looking at that picture. Maybe you do look a bit like I'm joking. Yes. Maybe you're drawing that monkey that's inside of you. That monkey that is telling you that you look like a monkey. Vanessa says, I need my glasses to draw, but not to see myself in the mirror, so I've drawn my glasses on my head. It actually looks quite like me. Surprise as I can't see. Great fun. I'll tell you, honestly, most of the time when I draw, I don't wear glasses. I'm wearing glasses today because I have to deal with this computer and stuff. But a lot of times I don't feel... It's less important to me to see actually my page than to see what I'm looking at. And I am short-sighted. Is that what it is? No, I'm far-sighted. So I can see things far away without glasses on. I can't see my page very, very clearly, but it usually doesn't matter. Then I put my glasses on and go, whoa, well, that's what that looked like? Okay, good. That's part of it. So, Laura, thank you. I am looking younger each week. It's true. It's these hair implants that I'm getting. They're working. I think they're working very well to restore my youthful vigor. I have to start coloring my hair soon too. All right. So, good point. Once the session ends, don't forget you share your art with us on social media. Let me get to that in a second. I'm going to tell you. So we have this hashtag SBS Draw With Me. I want to see your thing. But before we go on, I want to just do a final sort of summary of where I'm at. There it is. That's the mood today. You could take a picture of this kind of palette here and just say, oh, there you go. It's July 15th in the morning. So, okay. I want to share with you something else. I want to share with you, before we go, and we're running a little late, but I want to share with you a sketchbook of a friend of mine who draws himself sometimes doesn't. Every day, every week at the end of Draw With Me, I share a different sketchbook tour. And this week, I'm going to share one from my friend Lapin. He's also known as Lapin Barcelona because he lives in Barcelona, but he's French. Lapin, he's like a little rabbit. And he draws beautifully in old ledger books. You'll see what that means once you watch this. Our sketchbook tour each week is brought to you by Winsor Newton. And enjoy this one. Pretty great, right? That's my buddy Lapin. And he, as you can see, draws lots of different kinds of things. So there's lots to learn from him. All right, we're running out of time, so I just want to remind you, hashtag SBS Draw With Me. That's important. If you've made a drawing and you want to share it with me and have it at the beginning of the next program, I'd love to have a little parade of selfies next time. So post it on Facebook, post it on Instagram, and put hashtag SBS Draw With Me. We'll find it and we'll add it to the stuff, to the opening of next week's program. Plein Air Watercolor, that's this weekend. Please join us. We're going to have really fun and get deep into watercolor. And tonight, free Q&Art Live brushes, our webinar with experts from Winsor Newton. So feel free to sign up. All the details are down below in the post, as you'll see. And of course, I want to thank Winsor Newton and Hahnemühle, who are our sponsors. They make fantastic products. And if you want to support Draw With Me, support Winsor Newton and Hahnemühle by buying their stuff. Not a big thing to do. And also, of course, subscribe to this channel. All you have to do is click on the subscribe button. And also, make sure you click the little bell, because if you click the bell, then you'll be notified next time we do Draw With Me, which is every Thursday. What else? Oh, also, well, I'm not going to talk about that. So yes, lots of things going on, lots of things for you to participate in, to advance your art making. I hope you will join me in at least one of them, if not both of them. What else? I don't know. Keep drawing. Draw with me, draw without me. Keep doing it. Keep making bad drawings. Bad drawings are great because bad drawings lead to good drawings. But if you're afraid of bad drawings, you won't make a lot of drawings. And if you don't make a lot of drawings, you won't make good drawings. It's a very simple calculus. Bad drawings times X equals good drawings. So if that's what you want to do, if you want to draw well, fluently, expressively, confidently, draw badly. Don't be afraid to draw badly, let's say, to make mistakes and to try stuff out. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining me here. It was really nice to hang out with you, and I look forward to seeing your selfies next time at the beginning of the show.